to target Russian fertilizers without hurting European agriculture. This is the difficult balance sought by the European Union. At the end of last week, member states adopted a European Commission proposal to impose customs duties on imports of certain agricultural products from Russia and Belarus in order to reduce the Union's dependence. But the measure is worrying the agricultural sector.
À court terme, la Commission n'a pas proposé de mesures alternatives pour substituer les approvisionnements en provenance de Russie et de Bélarus. Donc, déjà aujourd'hui, nous importons en provenance des autres pays tiers, mais une demande accrue va générer plus de pression en termes de logistique, donc des hausses de coûts. Ces hausses de coûts vont générer de l'inflation agricole qui se répercute en termes de baisse des revenus des producteurs agricoles et de la compétitivité sur le marché intérieur et à l'exportation.
Russian fertilizers account for 25% of EU imports. The additional customs duty per tonne of fertilizer could gradually rise from around €40 to around 370 over 3 years. For farmers, the Union's food security is at stake. The Commission assures that this reduction in imports will be offset by a strengthening of the European fertilizer industry. A view shared by the MEP in charge of the text, who believes that we need to think strategically here.
My personal view is that this proposal could come or should come 3 years earlier already. Now almost all countries have got rid of Russian gas. But Russia has done such a thing to produce from cheap Russian gas these fertilizers and to sell them in the European market for a very low prices. And it means if we buy these Russian fertilizers, we continue to fuel Russian war machine. Is it acceptable? No, it's not.
The European Parliament will formally take up the issue early next month. Once its position has been adopted, MEPs will have to reach an agreement with the member states on a common position.
Israelis gathered in protest outside the government headquarters in Jerusalem after the military launched a wave of airstrikes across the Gaza Strip in its heaviest assault since a ceasefire took effect in January. Over 400 Palestinians were killed and hundreds more were injured.
I want wars to be fought for security reasons, for real reasons that we need. When we need to fight, we will. We did in the first 5 or 6 months of this war. But since then, there's been another year. And now restarting it when nothing has changed security-wise makes no sense. The only explanation one can see for the war restarting now is coalitional needs of Netanyahu.
I came here because, first of all, I ask Hamas to release the hostages. And secondly, I say to Mr. Trump and Mr. Netanyahu, you cannot achieve peace by this method of killing more babies.
Israel said they carried out the deadly airstrikes after Hamas refused to release hostages held in the Gaza Strip, in an operation they warned was open-ended and expected to expand. A UN spokesperson said they were horrified by the airstrikes and called for all states with influence to do all in their power to achieve peace.
Start off the briefing with the statement that you should.
Israel's resort to yet more military force will only heap further misery upon a Palestinian population already suffering catastrophic conditions. This nightmare must end immediately. The hostages must be released immediately and unconditionally.
The strikes come as the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel remains in limbo. The first stage of the three-phase deal started mid-January and ended on the 1st of March. Negotiations on the second phase have not yet been hammered out.
Officials ordered the evacuation of hundreds of homes near Malaga in southern Spain after heavy rains caused riverbanks to burst, unleashing flash floods. Firefighters were searching for a missing couple in Sevilla on Tuesday morning and found the body of a woman near the area where their vehicle disappeared. Andalusia's Interior Chief Antonio Sanz said that 19 rivers in the region were on high alert for flooding. A total of 40 highways across the region, as well as some rail lines, had to be closed due to rising waters, and school classes were suspended in 16 municipalities. Spain, which has suffered from a prolonged drought in recent years, has received steady rainfall, especially in its south, for the last 2 weeks, and the latest storm proved too much for reservoirs and riverbanks. Scientists and government officials link these swings between extreme dry and wet spells to climate change, which has also produced increasingly hot summers in Spain.
Officially or not, the issue of defense is crucial on the EU agenda. Russia's invasion of Ukraine might have caught Europe off guard, but it is the possibility of the US not committing to Article 5 which came as a harsh wake-up call.
I really believe that time has come. The armed forces of Europe must be created.
Former Polish defense minister says the idea itself sounds premature, although for Poland, the largest defense spender in Europe, there is a lot in it.
Myślę, że stworzenie sił zbrojnych Europy rozumianych jako po prostu suma sił zbrojnych poszczególnych państw członkowskich o tyle jest przedwczesna, że pojawiłoby się pytanie, kto miałby być niejako dysponentem tych sił. Gdyby pytać się o takiego dysponenta, to Unia Europejska musiałaby wyłonić w ogóle jakieś ciało, które byłoby takim rządem europejskim, a na to jest jednak za wcześnie.
O konieczności stworzenia struktur.
I Europa musi podjąć odpowiedzialność, jaka zawsze na niej ciążyła, ale która częstokroć była przerzucana właśnie, historycznie uzasadnienie, ale przerzucana na Stany Zjednoczone. Europa po agresji rosyjskiej na Ukrainę i po teraz zmianie polityki Trumpa wobec Europy podjęła wreszcie decyzję, na którą przez wiele dziesiątek lat czekaliśmy.
What Europe can benefit from is Ukraine's warfare experience and its defense tech industry. Integrating Ukraine's military-industrial sector would not only help pave the way for the country's EU membership, but also would boost Europe's defense capacity. A little earlier, Euronews talked to the soldiers of Ukraine's 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, asking them what Europe can learn from Ukrainian battlefield experience.
Якщо раніше конфлікти були не таких масштабів, то у нас зараз набагато масштабніше. У нас використовуються дрони, артилерія, дуже багато і новітньої зброї в, скажімо так, військовому руслі. На той час не було таких всіх, скажімо, роботизованих військ, да, дронів і так далі. Використовувалися якісь там РПГ, танки, на цьому було все. Тому у нас є чому навчитися, я думаю, що будуть ще брати нас в інструктора не тільки в Україні.
On the day Italy commemorates its COVID victims, survivors of the pandemic feel blessed. Sergio is among them. Today, he's more thankful than ever to the doctors who saved his life at this hospital in Rome 5 years ago.
Mi ha fatto una grande emozione, si sente anche ritrovare il dottor Magliacani, vedere tutto il reparto, capire che qui ci sono passato e sono tornato a casa, altri non lo hanno fatto.
He recalls the moment that changed everything for him.
Tripli guanti, tripla mascherina, quindi erano veramente irriconoscibili. Però mi aveva colpito questo sguardo che era uno sguardo come se ti dicesse calma, pace, tranquillità, sereno, ci siamo noi. E invece nel momento in cui mi ha detto lei è gonfio, gli occhi si erano chiusi, erano gelidi, era diventata la professionista, non era più soltanto il medico che ti confortava, lì doveva decidere in un attimo quello da fare.
Dr. Magliacani compares the pandemic to a monster. He tells us that the most difficult part was seeing patients in pain.
È stata una cosa tragica, per cui abbiamo visto morire persone che chiedevano la mano, non potevano vedere nessuno, tragica. Vuoi vedere morire le persone tragicamente, così, soli. E quella è stata la cosa peggiore.
But not all have shown gratitude for the work we have done, Dr. Magliacani tells us. Society and institutions, he says, seem to have forgotten how crucial our role was. Giorgio Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.
EU government ministers debated ways Radio Free Europe could be kept afloat after the Trump administration announced sweeping cuts to the pro-democracy media outlet over the weekend. The Czech Republic, which has hosted Radio Free Europe for 25 years, is leading an EU push to keep the network alive. Sweden's EU Affairs Minister expressed support for the initiative on Tuesday.
In terms of financing. Today we will also support a Czech initiative which Sweden has co-signed with the ambition of making sure that Radio Free Europe really continues to be an important voice for freedom and democracy, especially in those places where it is most needed.
But EU Foreign Chief Kaja Kallas said finding funding may not be easy.
It is sad to hear that the US is withdrawing its funding. Now the question for us is, can we come in with our funding to leave or fill the void that the US is leaving? The answer to that question is that not automatically, because we have a lot of organizations who are coming with the same request to us. But there was really a push from the foreign ministers to discuss this and find the way.
Radio Free Europe began broadcasting during the Cold War, and its coverage has played an important role in countries across Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and the Middle East.